Freedom of speech, the right to free press, the fight against oppression, these are the values we hold dear today. But in the 19th century, one man paid the ultimate price for standing by them. This is the story of Elijah Lovejoy, the first martyr for the abolitionist cause and a man whose murder shocked the nation. Elijah Parrish Lovejoy was born on November 9, 1802, in Albion, Maine. He was the son of Elizabeth Lovejoy and Daniel Lovejoy. He was the eldest of 9 children. He was raised in a deeply religious household that valued education and morality. Over time, these values shaped him into a man unwilling to compromise his beliefs, especially when it came to the fight against slavery. Missouri, 1837. The United States is at war with itself, not an open battle, but in ideology, in words, and in violence. In the heart of it stood Elijah Parrish Lovejoy. Who is Elijah Parrish Lovejoy, you may ask? Well, he's a minister, a journalist, and abolitionist. Lovejoy used his newspaper as a weapon against the chains of slavery. There's a saying that goes, words have power, and power breeds enemies. Missouri, a slave state, had no room for abolitionists. Lovejoy had faced threats. These threats turned into attacks. His press, the St. Louis Observer, was destroyed. His life was at risk, and even then, Elijah Lovejoy would not back down. You could say that Elijah Lovejoy was, in a way, a real-life Sue Heck. Just like Sue Heck, Elijah Lovejoy had the same driven motivation of never giving up.
2 days in the warrior pose. Might as well give up now, sweetheart.
Really? You think I should give up? Let me tell you something about me. I never, ever give up.
However, his life was at risk, so he fled to Illinois. Illinois at the time was considered a free state, and he would start the Alton Observer. But was he truly free? Even here, Elijah Lovejoy was warned and even still threatened. But even then, Elijah Lovejoy refused to be silent. So on November 7, 1837, Alton, Illinois, Elijah Lovejoy and 20 of his supporters stood guard over a newly arrived printing press. This printing press would mark the 4th press that Elijah had received for his paper, as 3 other printing presses had already been destroyed by pro-slavery activists. On this night, a crowd began to form outside Gilman's warehouse. When asked what they wanted, the crowd shouted that they had came for the press. However, as Lovejoy and his supporters refused to give in, the angry mob began to throw stones and break windows in the warehouse. Shots were fired by the members of the mob. Lovejoy and his men returned the fire. This caused for several people in the crowd to be hit and one killed. Later, someone from the mob would then yell, "Burn them out!" In the fight to stop them, Elijah Lovejoy would be shot 5 times, ultimately killing him. By the time he had died, the warehouse roof had begun to burn. This led to his supporters surrendering the press, causing the mob to rush into the empty building. In the end, the press that Lovejoy had defended with his life had been broken into pieces, which were later scattered into the Mississippi River. Lovejoy was buried on November 9, 1837. This date would mark his 35th birthday.
The killing of Lovejoy lies within what he believed in and what he stood for during this time. There was an intense conflict in the United States over slavery. Lovejoy's criticism of slavery was talked about in his newspaper. The Alton Observer made him a target. This is because he angered pro-slavery advocates, and even after many threats, he still would not back down. Elijah Lovejoy's murder was overall a result of deep division in the country at the time. It showed how slavery was taken over, and it shows the lengths that people in the opposition was willing to go to silence their counterpart. Elijah Lovejoy, an abolitionist minister and journalist, had a significant impact on the American Civil War era, becoming a martyr for the cause of abolition and free speech, inspiring abolitionists and galvanizing the movement against slavery. Lovejoy's death had a profound impact on the abolitionist movement, inspiring figures like John Brown and strengthening the resolve of anti-slave activities. However, Lovejoy is remembered as a symbol of the fight against slavery and for the right to free speech, and his legacy continues to resonate to this day.
As stated previously, Elijah Lovejoy became the first casualty of the Civil War before the war had even begun. His death ignited the abolitionist movement. His murder proved that the right for freedom would not be won easily, but it would be won. His story is not just history, it's a lesson, a reminder that the fight for truth, for justice, for freedom is never truly over.